Hi vinyl and turntable lovers. Today we're going to perform two tasks. First, I'm going to list the top 5 turntable improvements you can make from number 5 to number 1 categorically, and then I'm going to show you a pretty nice little $250 upgrade you can make with the ZEN Phono 3. Got that? Ready? Let's do it. Hi, I'm Bob, and you, my friends, are back in United States of Analog. How you doing out there? I'm doing pretty good. Do me a favor and like, subscribe, hit that notification bell just to make me feel a little better and support the channel in a way that's meaningful to you. All right, let's talk about turntables and turntable sound and vinyl and all that stuff. I don't think I'm an elitist when it comes to sound. You probably don't think you're an elitist when it comes to sound, but I think you know and I know people who love music but never talk about the music in terms of the sound quality, the sound reproduction, like we, audiophiles do. And by the way, I'm going to define audiophiles for you in just a second, but I mean, not to take away from anyone. I don't want to be an elitist, but many people, when they talk about music, are talking about the content of the music, the substance of the music. They're not talking about the physical sound. My friends don't talk about highs and lows, details and separation. They just don't. Sometimes they mention bass because they've been informed by Beats headphones and maybe concerts where they feel like more bass is better sound. Now we, United States of Analog Nation, we know that that's not true. That's not a true statement. But for them, that means better sound. Maybe that's because of marketing, or maybe that's because of the fact that maybe they just like a lot of bass. But we here, me and you, I think we like things like separation and detail and depth and height and, all those sonic things that we go on and on about to try to impress ourselves and others, when most of the time we usually clear out the room of party people with our audiophile talk. Now, let me remind you what Steve Guttenberg, the great Steve Guttenberg, the king, he's the audiophiliac, as a matter of fact, and he said at Expona 2025 in Chicago, and I was there in the audience. He said, being an audiophile is not about owning expensive equipment. You're an audiophile when you can sit down and listen to music and not multitask. Listen to music without being on your phone and tightening up your LinkedIn. No, when you sit down and switch on your system and the only thing you plan on doing is listening to that music, either critically or just for fun, then you're an audiophile. So let's get rid of the notion that being an audiophile means having a $40,000, $100,000 system. That's just not true. It can't be true. So now let's talk about those 5 categories from number 5 to number 1, improvements you can make. Number 5, I think, a lot of the general stuff surrounding the turntable, maybe getting better wiring, a better mat, a better plinth. I think all those kind of general improvements and touch-ups you can make on a turntable, but I don't think it makes the most profound difference in the sound. Number 4, isolation. Isolation is important. It can make a big difference in especially the noise that your turntable can pick up. And not only make sound, it can kind of pick up sound. Let's say your turntable's on the 2nd floor. Footfalls become a very common problem. You're going to want to isolate that turntable. Maybe you bought a turntable that has isolation feet. Maybe you want to add them. Maybe you want to get a turntable isolation platform. All of those things are going to improve the sound and keep that noise level to a minimum. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and recommend ISO Acoustics. That's what I use at home. They make a lot of great products. This is not a paid endorsement, and there are no paid endorsements in this video. And I've had a great deal of success with their turntable platforms and their isolation feet that are tailored to just about any equipment that you own. Number 3, and some people might put this as high as number 1, but I'm going to put it number 3, basic turntable setup. It's something that you all need to learn if you have turntables. Not every turntable is going to have all of the adjustments available to you. Vertical tracking angle is not on a lot of entry-level turntables, but getting that cartridge dialed in and aligned, getting the anti-skate force set, the tracking force set, all of that is important. And even something as simple as leveling your turntable, getting yourself a cheap little bubble level and making sure your turntable is completely flat. Because if it's not, then your anti-skate adjustment is going to be off. Maybe your vertical tracking force is going to be off. So start with a level turntable and then make all the necessary adjustments. Watch videos, become a student of, turntable setup, and eventually, hopefully, you'll find enjoyment in properly setting up a turntable. Number 2, the Phono Preamp. Now, I don't think that any built-in to the turntable Phono Preamp is going to outperform a Phono Preamp of $100 or more. I don't think that's its purpose. I think the purpose of a Phono Preamp that's built into the turntable is for convenience. And many people who buy turntables with built-in Phono Preamps, some of the people that I talked about previously, aren't going to care about that next level of sound. They just want the convenience of playing the records that they inherited or found at a flea market or a garage sale or whatever, and it will do fine. And we can't judge people for that. That is their prerogative. But some of us want for more. And I would say if your turntable is over $500, then maybe adding Phono Preamp like the ZEN is appropriate. There are 2 areas that I'm thinking of that come in particularly handy with any Phono Preamp. And hopefully you've got one that has adjustable gain, because I always find that very important, because, I have a line of cartridges called Sumiko here. I have 3 different ones. I have the more expensive Moonstone, kind of a middle grade, Olympia, and then the Rainier, which is their entry level. Oddly enough, the Rainier has the most output level, where the more expensive Moonstone has a lower output level. So my music isn't as loud initially when I put on the Moonstone. So I like being able to turn up the gain a little bit with a Phono Preamp. So make sure you look for one that has some kind of adjustable gain, and then look for a Phono Preamp that may have a subsonic filter. I think that comes in very handy in lowering some of that noise, some of that rumble, some of those vibrations that your turntable is picking up. Those are 2 of the features I would look for in a Phono Preamp. And by the way, this iFi has both of those features and more, but stick around for that review. And number 1, you probably guessed it, is the Cartridge/Stylus. Yeah, that needle in the groove is literally picking up your music and delivering it to you in different voices. There are no 2 cartridges that sound alike. So cartridge selection is very important. Just because you pay more for a new cartridge, pay more than the cartridge that's on the turntable when you bought it, it doesn't mean it's going to be better. It may have a sound signature that's totally appalling to you, or you may get lucky and it's totally appealing to you. But you want to do your research, watch more videos, read more articles about the sound signature of any given cartridge. They're different. Some are warmer, some are more detailed. Some styluses have a longer life. Some cartridges have a better upgrade path. There's so many features. There's almost as many features to a cartridge as there are to the turntable itself. They're that complex. Pick the right one and you'll have many, many years of listening pleasure. Are you still with me? All right, let's go and meet the iFi ZEN Phono 3. This is a Phono Pre that comes in at just under $250 at the time of this taping. You always have to say that now. And I think at that price, it's a good solution for people with turntables over $500. It doesn't make much sense to upgrade a cheaper turntable. Like I said, I think you're going to have kind of diminishing returns. But that $500 to $1,000 level turntable, this is a nice addition. Now you can see just from looking at it, it's got a different form factor. It's high quality. This build is solid, and this is no ordinary black box Phono preamp. So if you're a person that prides themselves on having a little bit of style, this is kind of nice next to your turntable, though it might not match your other equipment. This is going to be subjective. You're going to have to decide. But for many people, it's what's inside that counts. All right, I'm going to give you 5 benefits of the Phono 3, and then maybe a couple of things for you to consider, maybe shortcomings you would call them. Number 1, this is a true moving magnet moving coil Phono Pre. It's gonna play nice with just about any cartridge you have. Now, why is that? Well, that adjustable gain I talked about earlier. There are 4 settings here. There's 1 moving magnet setting, and there are 3 moving coil settings. So you've got a range between 36 dB and 72 dB, I think it was, to play with. Now, I've actually, played with the bottom level of the moving coil, the 48 dB, with my moving magnet cartridge, and that seemed to work pretty good. It boosted the sound. I was looking for a little more rock and roll, a little more, punch, but I kind of felt guilty that, I might be adding a little extra noise by, using a moving coil setting on a moving magnet cartridge. But it's there if you need it. It did, require less of a turn on the volume knob to get a satisfactory sound, but I just had the feeling that I was adding a little bit of noise. I could be wrong. Put it in the comments below if you're some kind of, engineer, and let me know if I've got that right or got that wrong. But most of us with moving magnet cartridges are going to be at that 36 dB setting. The ZEN Phono 3 has different impedance loading choices, so you can match this with just about any cartridge on the planet and get satisfactory results. And adding to the lower noise calculations, this also has 4.4 millimeter balanced outputs along with the single-ended RCA and ground that you get on a traditional Phono preamp. So you have options there. If you're not into balanced, don't worry, you've got the regular hookups here. But in general, I found this to be a very, very low noise unit. And another feature you find here that you don't find on many Phono preamps at this price point, a subsonic filter. It is selectable. If you don't want it, you don't have to use it. It's intelligent. It's a smart switch. When you engage it, it's going to lower some of that noise, some of that rumble. Remember, your turntable not only makes sound, but it can absorb sound as well. So isolation and things like the subsonic filter can be critical if you are looking for really low noise sound, a very quiet background. Now let's get to a couple of the shortcomings, maybe 3. I'm gonna add 1. Number 1, some people have commented that, this Phono Pre plays it a little safe. What do I mean by that? Maybe it doesn't have that kind of sound signature, a very specific sound signature. I think balanced and kind of just, I don't want to say neutral, just kind of a workhorse device, I think I like. I would rather select the kind of sound signature I want with the Phono cartridge and Stylus and let that do the talking, and let this just transmit that sound into a low noise signal without any fluff or specific character. I want to let the Stylus, the Phono cartridge, do that work. What do you think? You know where to go if you disagree with that statement. No, I don't mean go there. I mean, I'm talking about the comments. Oh my God, that sounded so rude. Yeah, if you're just looking for clarity and not necessarily color, this is the Phono preamp to get. Other people have said that they've had problems with the headroom. I don't know. I don't know how loud you're playing your music. There are other components in your chain that are going to deal with headroom, specifically your amplifier. Maybe the people that said that had the switch in the wrong position. I did not experience any headroom issues, and I like my music loud. It never clipped. I never experienced anything untoward. So, if you have problems with stuff like headroom, if you have problems with things like headroom in your system, then you might want to do some more research before picking up the iFi ZEN. But I encountered none of those issues. And then finally, I would just say, this form factor isn't going to be to everyone's liking. I don't mind it. I'm not going to stack it on a black box DAC or something like that unless I have to. I'm going to keep this off to the side as a statement. Let it speak for itself. I think it's kind of unique. It works in the iFi ZEN ecosystem. Some of their other gear is shaped just like this and stacks nicely. I don't mind it. I like the textures. I like the coloration, the kind of the brass look on some of this, the space gray. I mean, it's just this is a nice unit. It gets the job done, but it does it with a little more style. Style is subjective, and not everyone's gonna dig this alienized shape. That's it. If you're a turntable vinyl lover, I hope you got something out of this video and things to think about. Phono preamps are a great way to upgrade your system. Give your turntable a little breathing room, a little space after you get it. Find out what you like about it, what you don't, how you want the sound to be, and then seek out the equipment that's going to help you achieve that sound. That's really, I think, the best way to do it. You don't have to rush. Where are you going? You got time. And speaking of time, if you have time for one more video, man, are you lucky, because, let me move this over. The geniuses at YouTube, man, listen, I don't know what those guys are on over there, but man, they've got it dialed in. They've selected another video for you to watch. It's one of mine, and it's going to pop up right here any second. I hope you'll watch it. And there it is right there. Thank you for being here with me in United States of Analog on a very weird day. But we're going to get through it. Thanks to you. We'll see you next time. Cheers.